Morning and welcome to the New Jersey Morning Show. I'm Lisa Marie Falbo.
And I'm Laura Jones in for Cara DeFalco this morning. And today we're going to be talking about a big vote in Trenton that happened yesterday that ends the governor's COVID emergency powers. Assemblywoman Serena DiMaggio is here to talk about that. Plus, we're going to talk about the Fight for Air Climate New Jersey event that is happening this weekend.
We'll also go inside a 5-star restaurant in Mercer County that will have you saying WTF. And plus some incredible video of a New Jersey surfer. You have to see why a ferry was involved in his latest stunt. But first, let's bring in meteorologist Mike Favetta for a check on the hot and steamy New Jersey weather.
Good morning to you both. Happy Friday, first Friday in June. We're excited about some heat, I hope, here across New Jersey. You know, this weekend we're going to be about 45 degrees warmer. 45 degrees warmer than last weekend, because, I mean, anything warmer than last. There are some refrigerators in New Jersey that were warmer than last weekend.
I was a very unhappy camper. I mean, I had my Christmas sweats on, trying to stay warm.
Yeah. Well, let's put that behind us in the past because we've got some really hot weather ahead with some sunshine. And we're looking forward to that, especially as we kick off summer on the right foot this time. It's like a do-over, if you will, going into this weekend. I want to start out, though, with temperatures that begin this morning already in the 70s with the thunderstorms forecast for later today. We'll have some times of clouds and sun, but as temperatures go, we'll notice that there's going to be much higher humidity and warmer air moving in through this afternoon. Now, typically when we get a storm, we cool down. That is not the case today. It'll feel like a steam bath after those storms push on through later on. That sets the stage for an even hotter weekend ahead. So with the weekend forecast topping the 90s across just about every location in the state, except for the beaches, you'll have a nice cooling effect from the sea breeze there. Notice how up in Morristown through Newark, we're in the low 90s as soon as tomorrow, because with the average temperature across New Jersey around 90 degrees, there will be a few places that get there. I think we'll easily be in the low 90s, perhaps mid 90s in spots by Sunday. So a very hot weekend ahead, and that heat only gets worse. Lisa Marie and Laura, going into next week, we've got a really hot stretch ahead. We'll tell you all about it coming up on the 7-day forecast in just a few minutes.
That's looking like a Florida forecast. After it rains and all the steam comes up and your hair goes frizz and you feel like you come out of a sauna.
I'm starting to feel it this morning myself, I know.
All right.
Thanks, Mike.
You bet.
Well, the state legislature passed a bill yesterday that ends the COVID-19 public emergency. The bill ends 108 of the governor's executive orders, but it also extends 12 of Governor Murphy's emergency powers. The debate on the Senate and Assembly floor was very intense at times. Republicans say the vote should not have happened without hearing and having input from the public.
To abandon the legislature, or for the legislature to abandon the public and simply allow executive orders to control, I think is a serious miscarriage of justice. I think it's basically an assault on democracy. I call upon both the Senate President and the Speaker to take down this bill and give an opportunity for legislators and the public to discuss these laws that are now being enacted on one vote.
Governor Murphy says he will sign the bill later today, and we're going to talk more about this and other political issues at 10 o'clock this morning on New Jersey Politics with Laura Jones.
Yes, we're definitely looking forward to that. It was definitely contentious yesterday in Trenton.
Yeah.
So New Jersey is closing the 6 COVID vaccine mega sites sometime this summer. On Wednesday, the governor announced that they will instead focus on the 1,800 vaccine sites available across the state, many in pharmacies and doctors' offices. There's still a big push across the country to get people vaccinated. Morris County is leading the way in our state. 70% of adults in Morris County are fully vaccinated against COVID-19, according to the CDC. Governor Murphy set a goal to have 70% of adults in New Jersey vaccinated by the end of this month. And right now, we're at almost 62%. So Laura, Have you gone maskless?
Yes. And it feels like I am doing something wrong. I feel like a kid again. It's like, am I doing something I shouldn't? I actually walked into a pharmacy to pick something up and I'm like, the pharmacist didn't have a mask on. And I was thinking, is it okay? Is it not okay? So yeah, it's kind of getting a little bit in my head about, am I supposed to? Is it okay? So, but it is, last weekend, my daughter had her prom and I was there taking pictures and I was thinking, there's something different aside from the mask. And I realized I haven't seen her classmates without their faces for like a year and a half in person. So that was a nice change. And those who have had braces, like their masks come off, it's like, oh, look at that. You've changed and grown up on us there.
Oh, that's precious. Your daughter, I told you off camera yesterday, gorgeous. I was in love with her dress. She looked like out of a fairy tale.
Yeah, it was. Thankfully, we had good weather because it turned really cold, and it's been a whirlwind. But it's nice to see certain things returning. Proms, and I guess this coming week, this leading into next week, we're going to start seeing graduations, and a lot of them are going to be outside. But last year's class, they didn't get anything, so this year it'll be nice to see the students being able to get those diplomas and put their caps and gowns on in person instead of virtually.
Yes, definitely. But as far as I was concerned, last weekend we had a barbecue on Monday, so I'm running to stores and everyone was so confused. Who had a mask on? Who didn't? I got stopped. Hey, is this allowed to like be maskless? I'm like, yeah, no one said anything to me. So there's still a lot of confusion. Just keep that mask in your back pocket because you don't know when you're going to need it.
It's like a little accessory that I just kind of have on my wrist usually. Just in case. You never know. You never know. So, all right. Well, up next, we're going to take you inside a 5-star restaurant in Mercer County and meet the incredible owner behind WTF. And it's not what you think it is. Stay with us. The morning show continues after this.
The 11th commandment prevails, and that is, thou shalt not speak ill of another Republican.
President Reagan was right. Republicans attacking Republicans won't fix Trenton. My opponents can't run on their record, so they've launched negative and baseless attacks against me and my family. I won't do that. My record is clear. I stopped property tax hikes for 4 years. I saved taxpayers millions by cutting $60 million of county debt. And I oppose sanctuary cities. I'm Tom Mastrangelo, and I ask for your vote to represent you in the state assembly. Thank you.
The American Lung Association invites you to join us outside in 2021 for our Fight for Air Climb events. Now more than ever, we need you in the fight for clean air and healthy lungs. Let's go outside and climb, because every step counts. Visit us at lung.org.
Welcome back to the New Jersey Morning Show. And Lisa Marie, we have got some really great video here. You got to check this out. It's a New Jersey surfer surfing the wake of Cape May Lewes Ferry. Rob Kelly was able to surf this wake for nearly 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Wow.
It's incredible. It's incredible. Now, keep in mind, he is a professional surfer, so I don't know if that sets any kind of record, but that is pretty impressive.
Very impressive.
Yeah.
I can't even walk straight half the time. Never mind.
Right?
I mean,
I can't boogie board without rolling over. I just kind of, I set my feet in the ocean and then, kind of get back just to kind of cool down. But that takes such skill. It looks like so much fun.
Yeah, it does look like so much fun, right?
Yeah, it does. It does. That's awesome.
You know what though? The water looks so cold. We haven't warmed up to the summer temps yet, water-wise. So even with that would scare me off. Mike Favetta, let's bring him in for another check on the weather. Mike, how are your surfing skills?
Oh, they're non-existent. There is a video. I did one of those surf rider things, on the back of the cruise ships. You see the commercials where you can do the ride that perpetual wave. I forget what the name of it's called. Yeah. So there's a video of me attempting this in Las Vegas, and it's just a compilation of me falling over about 20 times. As I
You need
tried
to get that video.
I
tried
know.
to do it. It's somewhere on the interwebs.
Interweb.
Shows through.
I say that all the time.
Yes. Well, the difference about the weather now is that early in the season, that the beach temperatures are rather cool, with the water temperatures holding in the upper 50s and low 60s. We've got refreshing feelings for the beaches, but you also want to watch out for the storms. This is a look right now of where those thunderstorms are from last night. They're currently offshore, and they keep moving out to the east. The good news is they will not impact our weather for this morning. However, by this afternoon, if you plan to go to the beaches, there will be some more storms arriving and developing in from the west that move into New Jersey later today. We'll talk more about that in just a bit. Our beach forecast today, speaking of the beaches, looks pretty fantastic by the weekend. Maybe not so much today due to that threat of lightning, but you will enjoy a cooler feel, still obviously very muggy, with temperatures holding in the low 70s there from Cape May up to Atlantic City, even over continuing up through Seaside Heights and Belmar. A little bit of a southerly breeze pushing in that warmer air as we go into the next few days. Any outdoor dining later on this evening could be wet, so keep that in mind. Maybe take advantage of the full capacity indoor dining, because could see a few of those showers come in around the dinner hour, but it's also going to be very muggy regardless, as temperatures hold in the 70s, maybe holding in the low 80s if you get the early bird special for happy hour later on this evening. We've got some very pleasant temperatures that will make everybody quite pleased when you see that 7-day forecast. Maybe those who want the heat, not so much. But we've got all those details coming up with the 7-day in just a few minutes. We'll talk about how that heat could potentially be quite dangerous, especially for those susceptible to the hot weather. That coming up in just a few minutes, Lisa Marie and Laura.
One of the things we love here on the morning show is food. Today, we're checking out the Where's the Food, or WTF, food truck and restaurant in Ewing, New Jersey. Owner Tim McRae. He's a master at marketing and apparently a master in the kitchen as well, with a menu that includes, oh my gosh, this is hysterical. They've got the Heart Attack Burger, the General Chow's wings. There's so much more. We're so excited. Joining us now is the owner of Where's the Food, Tim McRae. Good to see you.
Hey guys, how you doing? Good morning or good afternoon, wherever we're at.
Good morning. I gotta know.
Good morning.
WTF is the story behind the name WTF.
Of course, there's always a story behind every name. As we know, we wanted a name that was going to catch people's attention. We wanted to make sure that what we were doing got people to come to the truck. So we figured with a name like Where's the Food, or WTF, it would make people think about what's going on, what's in the truck, what does he have. So it stands for Where's the Food.
That is awesome. And you've got some amazing reviews, like 5 stars on Yelp, but your background is not as a chef. So can you tell us a little bit about how this came into being?
Well, my background, believe it or not, is I came from a heating oil dealer. So my family was in the oil business since 1954. So we always say we don't want to be like our parents, but unfortunately I ended up being just like my dad. So I went to the oil business in 2005. I was my dad's direct competitor from 2005 till 2008 when he retired and got out of the business. So my family wasn't too happy about that. But, when you teach somebody to be the boss, what do you expect to happen? You have to graduate sooner or later, and I became my own boss.
Yeah. Well, can you tell us a little bit about your marketing? I mean, when you look on your social media accounts, I am just about ready to, spit out my food. You've got amazing, really funny, really well-produced videos to promote the restaurant. So, how did you get the idea to do that?
Well, first and foremost, now with social media, it's a free platform. If you're not using it and you're a restaurateur, you're doing something wrong. So we started out doing these commercials to drive people to the business. Because right now we're on a gas station lot and the gas station is closed. So we are actually the only thing here that's open. Now they have somebody that's renting the mechanics spot of the garage. But we wanted to draw people to where we were at. So we started making these commercials. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna play every character because it's hard to get people to act in these commercials. So our first commercial, which is on our YouTube, WTF_food truck at YouTube, you can go there and see that. But I played 5 different characters in my first commercial, and from there, people just started liking me. Like, you gotta keep going. So now we have a series of 10 of them, and they're all available on YouTube.
Well, let's check out one of your videos.
Sure, let's go.
I'm trying.
I love this one.
Oh, you gotta get in there, man, before you open.
I know that's not them 2 fools trying to break into WTF. I can't believe this.
One of those Anderson windows. It's not be one of these broken windows, man. The minute it's taking so long, man.
Come on, this is great. What's been the reaction from the community? Because you're interviewing on Parkside Ave?
Yes, we're on Parkway Avenue. We're at 1543 Parkway Avenue in beautiful West Trenton, New Jersey, 08628.
And I mean, you have incredible reviews online, 5 stars on Yelp. I'm sure you're very proud of that.
I am, and a lot of it really comes from my staff. They allow me to be the front man, and I deal with a lot of people, so I'm pretty good with people. I like to call myself a people person. And I think what's missing right now in food is the customer service.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting that you say that, because I know right now there's, people are trying to hire a lot of personnel because they all got, laid off or furloughed during COVID, and it's very hard to find replacements now.
It is very hard to find good employees. But we've been blessed. We always pull from our sources, which is our family and friends. I have one of my chefs in here today, Will. I've coached him, and I've known his father probably for 30 years of my life. And then we have a different, my wife stands behind me, so she's always there. And we have 2 other part-timers that work with us as well.
Well, show us around. We want to see
All
what
right.
the operations are.
All right, we're gonna take a little look around here. And I don't want to move the camera too far, so if you see people ducking in the background, they just don't want to be in view. That's the lovely wife. She's the boss of the operation. She runs the line.
Oh,
All right. Then down here we have another person that's going to duck out of view. That would be our buddy Willie here. We got him on the fryers.
Nice.
All right.
What's up, Willie?
And then that's it. Like I said, it's a trailer, so it's a small place inside. Outside we have ample parking, and we just move around and make it work. But like I said, I was born and raised in a food truck, so we're used to working in small spaces. So we've been able to make this space work for us. So it's about 1,200 square feet. Inside is about 900 square feet, and the rest of it will be our outdoor dining.
I just want to tell you thanks for stopping by, and if you haven't checked out, tune in to NJ On Air every morning. And when you get a chance, and you're in Central Jersey, stop down and see me, Tim McCray, owner of Where's the Food, 1543 Parkway Avenue in beautiful Ewing, New Jersey, West Trenton, 08628. You can also follow me and find me on Instagram, WTF_food truck, Facebook, WTF_food truck. You know where I'm at? You know what I'm doing. Come get it!
I'm ready to go.
Laura.
We need a road trip.
Yes. Oh, 1,000,000%.
Right.
Definitely.
Well, so he's in West Trenton, and actually just down the road yesterday in Trenton, there was a lot going on at the state capitol. Republicans in the New Jersey legislature, they've been outspoken about the governor's executive orders and how a big vote yesterday was handled. And we are going to be talking about that right now with Assemblywoman Serena DeMasso. She's joining us now to talk a little bit about what was happening in Trenton yesterday. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
So
yesterday was quite a day.
So let's talk a little bit about what happened in Trenton yesterday for those who may not be up to speed. There's a lot of talk about Governor Murphy, his executive orders or the powers over what had the COVID emergency powers have been taken back. Now, this sounds like it would be a positive thing, but what happened and how it happened was a little bit unusual. Can you fill us in?
What happened was they just codified into law. They made it a law that Governor Murphy now has all these executive powers, where before they were all under an emergency declaration. So pretty much now we can't do anything to keep him from doing what he's doing. They say, oh, we lifted 108 of the executive orders. But if you went, there's over 2,000 pages of executive orders. So it was almost impossible to follow them anyway. All that needed to be done by the governor to end the public health emergency was say, I'm ending the public health emergency. It's done. It didn't need to be codified into law. It didn't need to have a vote on the floor, where it kept actually 13 or 14 executive orders in place. So once he lifted the public health emergency, he could not have had those 13 or 14 executive orders in place. So what we did yesterday was shirk our what they did yesterday, because I voted no, is shirk their responsibility as a legislator in dealing with this state of emergency and this public health crisis.
Well, what would you have liked to have seen? A lot of times there are public hearings on issues like this, but then sometimes voters are saying, why are we wasting time in the legislature having hearings? So can you just address that about the public's input?
That's the other thing. They ran it right through. They introduced it on Tuesday and they voted on it yesterday. It didn't go before a committee like it normally goes before. Every other bill goes before committee, where public will have an opportunity to state what they like or don't like about the bill, and legislators have an opportunity to recraft the bill if possible and make suggestions on how the bill could be better. Yesterday, that's not the case. Yesterday, they put the bill straight to the floor, and even though we made an amendment, we asked for an amendment, they voted it down. They actually tabled our amendment and went ahead with the vote. As you can see there, 44 of them voted yes and 28 voted no. So we lost.
You know, there were a ton of people outside the State House yesterday that were definitely on your side. I mean, what were your thoughts about the outpouring of emotion yesterday in Trenton?
Well, that's the people at work, right? That's people coming out, making sure their voices are being heard. Unfortunately, yesterday fell on deaf ears. The Democrats did come out. We all went out there earlier on. The assembly started voting a little after 1. But you saw Senator Anthony Bucco there speaking. We were all out there between 12 and 1, cheering them on, telling them to keep up the pressure, keep up their right, have their voice heard. And, unfortunately, it just passed the Senate by 21 votes, and by us, it passed by just 3 votes. And that's the idea of having 3 co-equal branches of government, is so that there's a balance of power. Yesterday, they gave away the balance of power.
Well, New Jersey's governor is one of the most powerful, it's not still the most powerful in the country because of the power of veto. There's a lot a lot of power in the governor. So what exactly does this give the governor? What powers does this give the governor? And also there's some talk on social media, and I don't really quite understand if this is accurate or not, that addresses the ability to request an open public record, the OPRA. Does this eliminate that, or can you address that?
It does eliminate that. It continues to give him the ability to deny the information to the public of how he's reaching the data points. We've heard over and over again in this last 15 months that the data will determine the date. Yet he refuses to give us the data. I have a bill 4813 that is the Senate companion S3751 was passed in the House, in the Senate unanimously. It came out of the Health Committee, unanimously approved. And Speaker Kaufman won't put it on the table, won't put it out there for the rest of us to vote on and have the governor sign it. And that's exactly what that bill does. That bill says that the governor must release the information that he's using. Assemblyman Peterson actually sued the governor for some information and won that suit just a couple of days ago. So that's what this does. This allows for that information to still be hidden. So their counter to that is that they have to follow CDC guidelines unless the metrics dictate otherwise. But if we don't know what the metrics are, how are we going to know they're just dictating otherwise? It was political theater yesterday at best.
Well, I mean, part of this we're in election year, right? June is always very busy in the state legislature because you are under constitutional obligation to get a balanced budget passed by the end of June. Plus, we have our primary election coming up on Tuesday. So how much of this do you think is political theater?
I think most of it is, because we're going to pass a budget that will put us further into debt. They're not raising any taxes this time because they took a $4.5 billion loan that we don't need. They have money coming from the federal government, so they're making a big thing about not having a tax increase. Well, holy hallelujah! It is an election year, that's why it happened. But maybe we should just tighten our belts. And last year we wouldn't have a tax increase. I'm going to predict that the gas tax is going to go down at the end of August, beginning of September, just in time for the November election, because they raised it so significantly last year, and the formula will force them to reduce it this year. I think it's all political theater. I think that they're hoping that people forget by November that they pushed this through. And sadly, a good number of people do, and a good number of people think, well, it wasn't my legislator. Well, you just put up that board, and it was your legislator that voted to give away their powers.
We know that some universities are requiring students who want to attend this fall to be vaccinated. You proposed a bill that would stop this. Why propose that bill?
Well, because I firmly believe that the vaccine should be a choice that is discussed between the patient or the student and their physician. And if the student is underage, the parent. I don't think anybody should be mandated to get this vaccine, especially since it's still under emergency use. And now, most recently in the news, in the last 24 hours, we've heard that 17 young men have had swelling around their heart from the Pfizer vaccine. We don't know what this is going to do. What we do know is that this virus is not that serious in young people. From under the age of 0 to 19, we've had 7 deaths. While very sad that we lost 7 children, they were all with comorbid conditions. We know how to cure this virus now. We have plenty of medicines. We have plasma. We have lots of ways to help us with this virus. To force somebody to take an emergency use authorization vaccine, I just don't believe in that. And I think that history will tell, but, I don't think it's the right way to go. So, I introduced the bill, and hopefully it'll get some traction now, especially with the 17 young men. And we have one right here in New Jersey that had an issue.
Assemblywoman DeMazia, thank you so much for taking time to talk to us a little bit about what's happening at the State House and also some of the legislation that you're shepherding through. And we hope to have you back again.
Great. Thank you so much, ladies. Have a wonderful weekend. The sun is going to shine this weekend.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, she was mentioning the weekend and, going from Trenton and all that is the political theater there to thinking about the weekend and the nice weather, the hot weather that we're having. One of the things that New Jersey really has, besides the beaches, cities, farmlands, and mountain, are some amazing downtown areas with great shops and restaurants. I know my town, I live in Lambertville, and there are all kinds of great places to go. And especially after, with so many of the restrictions that are lifting back, these downtown local businesses really, really need to see those, to see people back in their stores again. So that's my favorite area is going into my own town. But what about you, Lisa Marie?
Well, I think where I lived for almost 4 years, Jersey City. I love going back to Jersey City and visiting, the local restaurants, the local little boutique shops. I mean, it is the 6th borough, right? That's what it's called. And I always love going back. I was just back there last week, and, especially the cities. I mean, they were ghost towns at the height of COVID. So now it's all coming back, and anything that I can do to support my former town, I'm there for.
Well, and you've got the good backdrop there for pictures.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Best views are in Jersey City. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right. Well, we have a lot more to cover on the morning show. Up next, we're going to be talking to a firefighter who is participating in Fight for Air Climb New Jersey. And we're going to tell you what that is all about and hear his personal story and connection to the cause.
The 11th commandment prevails, and that is, thou shalt not speak ill of another Republican.
President Reagan was right. Republicans attacking Republicans won't fix Trenton. My opponents can't run on their record, so they've launched negative and baseless attacks against me and my family. I won't do that. My record is clear. I stopped property tax hikes for 4 years. I saved taxpayers millions by cutting $60 million of county debt. And I oppose sanctuary cities. I'm Tom Mastrangelo, and I ask for your vote to represent you in the state assembly. Thank you.
2020 felt like a dark tunnel, and while 2020 is over, the impact is not. The pandemic affected both our physical and mental health.
We started the Cody Fund for Mental Health to change lives, so we want you to know about NJ211.
It's a referral service for anyone in crisis, even children.
I'm living proof that there's light at the end of the tunnel.
And it's not a train, it's help. It's NJ211.
Welcome back to the New Jersey Morning Show. Mike Favetta is here for our check on the New Jersey weather. Mike, how are you doing?
Day ahead. Really warm stuff through this afternoon. Hope you like the heat and the humidity, because the humidity makes a big comeback too. So frizz factor, going to be a big poofy day for the hair.
I'm already
But
ready.
yeah, you already feel it. So I want to take you through hour by hour to show you the future cast here, because there will be some storms heading through New Jersey by this afternoon. Even in southern New Jersey, you see here just toward the bottom right corner of the screen, once we get into, say, 11 a.m., that's where we'll begin to see some of the storms pop up there in Monmouth, Ocean County, even entering and crossing the way through Delaware. Once the midday hits, that's when the storms begin to fire up in northern New Jersey, and that will likely take over beginning around the noon hour, going into the early afternoon by 2 o'clock. So this is what the radar will look like closer to 2 p.m. today. You see these storms here over toward Morris, Bergen County, even crossing into Hudson and Essex County later on today. So keep that in mind as we look forward to a beautiful weekend with most of the storms on their way out. You can even see here the satellite picture of New Jersey showing the clouds now, but they won't be around for much longer as the sunshine takes over and helps to fire up those storms later on today. Let's head over to the beautiful weather we'll enjoy for today with the sun returning. Obviously, it's very warm outside. The air is unstable. So when that sun comes back, those storms will begin firing up, and we'll likely see that rain happen as soon as the midday, taking us into the early afternoon. But the big story is that heat, and you'll see it coming up on the 7-day. Look how warm it gets after the weekend with the Monday and Tuesday forecast on 7-day showing highs in the low 90s, solid 90s, even going into early next week. So while it's a dry weekend, not expecting any rainfall tomorrow, Sunday, Monday, it is a solid stretch of 90-degree heat taking us into early next week. And this is heat that we haven't seen in quite some time, certainly haven't seen since last year. But to start off our first hot day and really start off summer with a heat wave of 3 of those days of 90 degrees or more in a row is going to mean some issues, especially for those that aren't used to it. So we'll talk more about heat safety coming up in a bit, because it is important, especially with this being the heels of our first heat wave here in New Jersey since last year. So we'll talk how that affects the elderly and those with getting around later in just in a few minutes.
Thank you so much, Mike.
It definitely seems early for so much heat. Heat wave already in June. So later on in my political show, New Jersey Politics, we're going to be talking about some of the local races on the June 8th primary, which is coming up on Tuesday. Last week, I spoke with former Mayor of Lambertville, Dave Delvecchio. He's running once again in the Democratic primary against newcomer Andrew Nowick. I also spoke with the outgoing Mayor, Julia Fall, who is not running for re-election.
We've got to be able to come together and talk about big ideas and big changes in our community together. And if we keep this sort of toxic back and forth, neighbors against neighbors, it's going to really change the way that people interact in our really beautiful community.
Join me at 10 a.m. this morning for that full interview with Mayor Julia Fall. Plus, I'm going to be speaking with Morris County Assembly candidate Tom Mastrangelo. We're going to be talking about closed primaries in New Jersey and the upcoming primary on Tuesday, all that you need to know. And more on that is coming, like I said, at 10 o'clock right here on New Jersey On Air.
On Saturday, the American Lung Association in New Jersey is hosting the annual Fight for Air Climb New Jersey. The event is a physical challenge where participants will climb the steps of the Red Bull Arena in Harrison to raise money to support research, advocacy, and education for lung diseases and COVID-19, with a fundraising goal of $100,000. Joining us now is one of the participants and a firefighter, Perry Lee. Perry, thank you so much for joining us here this morning.
Thank you very much. Good morning to everybody.
Tell us how you first got involved in the Fight for Air Climb New Jersey.
Well, I got involved roughly about 9-10 years ago. My cousin was diagnosed with lung cancer. It happened on Thanksgiving night. And we had a drill the next day at the firehouse. It just so happened that they were asking for volunteers to do a Fight for Air Climb in New York City. I signed up right away. I mean, I felt it was the least I could do for my cousin. She's like a sister to me. And I climbed the first year. She was with us then. She told me she would come back next year. So the second year, we were prepping, and I got the word that she wasn't doing well. The clinical trials were failing, and she passed away 2 weeks before the climb. And I didn't tell anybody. A lot of the guys on my team were like, where is she? All the firefighters and other people that she had met at the climb the prior year were asking me. I didn't say anything, and it was her husband who told them she had passed. So at that point, everybody said Fran, my cousin. And I've been doing it ever since. And 3 years ago, that's my niece. I was diagnosed with lung cancer. I'm stage 1 AKL positive. Nobody knows how I got it. I don't smoke. It's not from the job.
So some people might say, are these issues that arise, or these conditions that arise, that are related to the job? And it's not.
This one, I am lucky it is not. It was an isolated. They did a wedge and an upper lobotomy. They isolated. So right now, I'm clean, as they say. I'm not cured, but I have other nodules that we're monitoring and watching. I can't get it. I can't pass it on. And I just live day to day, and I just carry on for my cousin, and I support the American Lung because they were there for me when I was diagnosed.
Well, events like this, what does it do for you? Like you said, there's nothing that you did that caused it, and it's got to be at times just feeling of such helplessness. So getting involved in something like this that already affected your family, now it is affecting your life as well. Tell us a little bit about how that, what it means to you to continue to be a part of this.
Well, the easiest thing I could tell you is this, that I keep on doing this to spread the word. As far as I know, I don't know if they're a long way for a cure, but I'm here for the detection. I know that if I had done my part earlier, because I monitored for 2 years, I let everything go for 7 years plus, because doing the fundraising and understanding what the American Lung Association does, because my cousin had it, I knew everything there was about lung cancer, or per se, I thought I did. I should have maintained the detection, and they probably could have caught it even earlier. But my goal, I guess you want to say, I'm not letting the disease govern my life. I'm going to define it. So by defining it, I'll spread the word to all my brother firemen, sisters, people, just anybody. Go out, get detected, go through a routine scan. You never know. If you have history of lung cancer in your family, please go get a screening, because sometimes it is hereditary. I'm not going to judge anybody, but if you do smoke or you work in an atmosphere where you're subject to these carcinogens and all, please go get detected, because I turned around and, I pushed myself and I stretched myself, and it's bad. I'm going to admit it. I take things for granted, and I've done it to my family, my wife, my kids. When I told them I had the cancer, I just looked at their faces and reality set in, and it was just like, wow, if I'm not here, now what? And that's not a good position to put your family in or to put anybody in. And I just saw everybody, and then thank God I have a very good support network.
And it really sounds like you're taking this and you're not going to be a victim here. You are being proactive. So if other people want to get involved, I understand there's even for this event, you can participate in person, but there's also a virtual part to it as well, I understand?
There was a virtual in the sense of during the current COVID conditions, there is a Climb 21, which you can participate in. It's on the website. There's also, if the climbing stairs or tower racing, as we call it, is not your thing, there's another function that the American Lung Association has. It's called Lung Force, where you can fundraise, you can attend clinics, seminars, and it's basically walking in parks. And you'll meet other lung cancer survivors. They'll tell their stories. Some are even what we call survivors. Some are still going through treatment, as myself. There's multiple ways. And with the Lung Association, they reached out to me after I told them I had I was diagnosed. They told me if I needed to get into clinical trials, they would help me. If I needed support as far as, believe it or not, mental health, other resources from my family, they would help me. And so they've been there with me. So the least I can do is contribute back.
How can people get involved, and can they still sign up for the climb?
They to sign up for this climb, the registration is closed, but there's other climbs across the country. There's one, there's New York coming up on June 19th in Citi Field. Usually my department participates in that, but due to prior commitments, we can only do the one in New Jersey. Also on the same day, on June 19th, there's one in Hartford, Connecticut, which I'm still pending to join a fellow firefighter who I'm going to tell you that for mental health issues, we've helped each other. He is a stage 4 non-small cell. His condition is worse than mine, but he is doing the climb and he's still fundraising. You contribute. You can visit Fight for Air Climb and /New Jersey or /New York or /Connecticut, and you can find the sites and fundraise or can make donations that way.
And for people watching, we also have the link on njonair.com. Perry, thank you so much, and we wish you all the best in health and everything.
Thank you very much, everybody, and please come out and support, and please go get screened and checked.
Next, the familiar sight is returning to Bayonne. Another sign things are opening back up right after this.
The 11th commandment prevails, and that is, thou shalt not speak ill of another Republican.
President Reagan was right. Republicans attacking Republicans won't fix Trenton. My opponents can't run on their record, so they've launched negative and baseless attacks against me and my family. I won't do that. My record is clear. I stopped property tax hikes for 4 years. I saved taxpayers millions by cutting $60 million of county debt. And I oppose sanctuary cities. I'm Tom Mastrangelo, and I ask for your vote to represent you in the state assembly. Thank you.
The American Lung Association invites you to join us outside in 2021 for our Fight for Air Climb events. Now more than ever, we need you in the fight for clean air and healthy lungs. Let's go outside and climb, because every step counts. Visit us at lung.org.
Welcome back to the New Jersey Morning Show. And Laura, there's a little bit of a freaky story going on at the Jersey Shore. You ready for this?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Take a look at the skull that washed up on a beach in Berkeley Township. It was a mystery for days.
Wow.
What kind of animal is this from?
It looks prehistoric, honestly.
Well,
Like
that
something
was
from-
one of the guesses, yes. Guesses on social media included a humpback whale and even a pterodactyl.
Yes.
New Jersey, yeah, exactly. The New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection identified the huge skull just yesterday as the lower jaw and skull of a minke whale.
Oh, wow.
I don't even know what a minke whale is. And this is
either.
why, Laura, I really don't like going in the ocean. I mean, maybe up to like my knees.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
want to go past that because I don't know what's out there.
Well, you know what? I don't like when I can't see.
Exactly.
So if the water's clear, then I might. But the other thing is the water is so cold in the ocean.
Yes.
Even
Well,
though
the
we're
water's
getting
cold.
really, really hot, right?
These whales love that kind of water temperature. I went minke whale sighting up in Iceland. Took a little adventure out. They did like this midnight sort of boat watching or whale watching adventure because, when it's 24 hours of daylight up there at the summer solstice in the Arctic Circle, you can view these minke whales out in the Icelandic waters. And yeah, they have very bad fishy breath. I'm told. So
I
when it came by, you
love
smell
how
it.
nonchalantly he just says, "Oh yeah, when I was up in Iceland." That is
Yeah, exactly.
so
It was
cool.
climate. It was climate research. It was climate research, and there were icebergs and ice shelves and melting involved. So yeah, it was legitimate.
That's cool. Very cool. And minky. I said it mink. So thank you
Minky.
for
I didn't
correcting
know
me
how
on
to
the
say it until
pronunciation.
the guy over the boat PA system was like minky whale. So yeah, there's like a song up there or
Rhymes with
something. It's a whole
pinky.
cultural thing. Pinky,
Exactly.
minky. Exactly. Yeah, we should make a children's song. Well, you'll probably be doing indoor activities with your littlest ones this weekend because it'll just be too darn hot for them to head out, especially with highs in the 90s. And that's in the shade. The UV index today is only at a 4 due to the clouds this morning, but there will be some sun this afternoon. Hey, this weekend, amazing weather for the beaches. We'll be up with the UV around 9 or 10, depending on your location. It's basically as high as it gets as we approach the summer solstice just 3 weeks away. Now, with all of this heat around, it's also important to note that there are concerns for heat illness, especially in the elderly or those not really used to the heat. So on the left side of the screen, you have the symptoms of heat exhaustion, which include if you feel faint or dizzy, sweating a lot, maybe feeling a little nauseous or have muscle cramps. That could be symptoms of heat exhaustion if you're out in the heat and really doing some kind of hard labor or heavy labor going into the hottest part of the day in the sunshine. Remember, it feels a lot hotter in the sun. The temperatures that you see on every weather report and the temperatures that your digital assistant, whether it be Siri, Google, Alexa, read to you, those are all in the shade. So on the right side, you see the heat stroke, and that's the red column showing that if you have a really bad headache, you're not sweating anymore, rapid, strong pulse, and could possibly lose consciousness, that's an emergency. So that's where a call to 911 is strongly encouraged. And this information direct from the Weather Service, and it's important to remind us since it's been so long since we've had so much hot weather, I think everybody's just going to go bananas when they see the heat coming up and just really want to get outside and get our fully vaxxed and waxed summer off to the right start. Let's take a look at that 7-day forecast. Beautiful weather ahead with that hot stretch and humid stretch. That's important to note too. So even, the sweating will be extra difficult for your body to cool down thanks to all of the high humidity. Sunday and Monday continues our 90-degree stretch. We see a little bit of a break in heat and humidity by Wednesday. And then I think we're back to our average temperatures come Thursday of next week. So it's really going to be a hot one ahead. Please enjoy it safely, and let's get our summer started on the right note. I know the beaches and the businesses along the shore really took a hit last weekend, but that should be a lot nicer come this weekend.
Well, and the other thing about the tips that you're offering for heat exhaustion and such and heat stroke emergency, people have been inside. Even when it was nice weather last year, not everybody was getting out. They were really concerned about getting out. So that kind of adds a layer of complexity or challenge to when you do get out. It's like, oh, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling energized. I want to go out and walk. And that can actually, land you in a little bit of trouble if you aren't thinking ahead like that.
You bring up a good point, Lindsay. We're actually going to have quite a bit of the heat advisories, the weather alerts that come out. They'll be posted probably within the next day or so, and that's usually what prompts the big cities like Newark and Patterson to open up those cooling centers for the elderly, just because it's so hot each afternoon.
Well, thank you for the reminder, Mike, and enjoy your weekend.
You too.
Well, Lisa Marie, one of New Jersey's largest employers will no longer require new employees to take a drug test for marijuana use. According to ROI and J, Amazon CEOs say they will treat marijuana as the same as alcohol use. The company says they still will require drug tests, though, after accidents or incidents happen.
Cruises will return to our area over the summer. Royal Caribbean will once again sail out of Port Liberty in Bayonne. According to the mayor of Bayonne, the announcement comes after talks between the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, local and state health officials, and the Office of Emergency Management. Royal Caribbean has not made an official announcement yet, but they do have cruises scheduled for July from Port Liberty. And it is a sight to see those immaculate ships coming out of there right from your backyard. It's wonderful. So I'm really happy that they're up and running. Laura, that just about does it here for us this morning. That went by super quick. Okay, I don't know where Laura went, but I am here to wrap up things for the New Jersey Morning Show. For Laura Jones, Mike Bavetta, I am Lisa Marie Falbo. We'll see you right here next week at 9 a.m. Enjoy your weekend, everyone.